Ladies and gentlemen, today is the 24th of March 2012. This is Zen SC2 Gaming, and today's episode is going to be on the MLG Winter Columbus event that's taking place this weekend. The opening ceremonies were Friday, i.e. yesterday, and we had MLG Sundance. He announced the 5 games that are participating at the championship this weekend. It's not just StarCraft that's participating. We have Halo Reach, and then we have the return of 3 fighting games, which are Mortal Kombat Soul Calibur 5 and King of Fighters 13. And from what I've seen on Twitter, Facebook and various other sites, is that they are receiving a great audience not only via the streams that are up, but also in attendance from the actual people at the event. And this is a good thing. I don't necessarily feel this is bad in any way or form. The more games that participate in events like this, the more of a community there is, and obviously strength in numbers, so it gets noticed more over various platforms. As you know, Halo Reach is a console game on the Xbox 360, so it's good to see that console games are making a bigger impression on the actual live events, which is great. After Sundance announced that there wouldn't be enough chairs, and from people who were obviously there at the event, they have said that this is the case, which is unlucky for the people who have to stand. And I mean, it's only Saturday now, so don't know what it's going to be like for the finals of these events on Sunday. It's like I say, it's bad for the people standing, but it's great in terms of that people want to go to these events, and they want to attend these events, which is good. And it's not just a case of sitting at home and watching the streams, which is nothing to take away from the streams, because like we saw from Winter Arena, and it's continued to be the case this weekend, is that the streams are of high quality, the production value is great. As he was introducing the games, there was various cutscenes to the relevant parts. So for example, when he was talking about Marine King, there was a nice little clip just showing Marine King, and I felt this was a good touch, especially for the home viewer, as you felt more involved and you felt like you got a better grasp and aspect of the event itself. He then passed it over to Day 9 and DJ Wheat, which were the main casters for the main stream of the weekend. They were also backed up by Artosis and Tasteless in Korea, and they were providing, as usual, great post-game analysis, stating where they feel people went wrong, and also they were hosting their own games on different streams at different times. And then they dunked straight into Group A, which was Marine King versus MC. Just a little spoiler now, if you haven't watched it, tune out or press mute or something like that. But basically, here we go. So Marine King actually took it 2-0, and I wouldn't say completely 100% convincingly. It's not to take anything away from MC. The only thing I did feel, and I had to write this down, unfortunately, I felt his Colossus placement in the second game, and the lack of upgrades is what cost him, unfortunately. As you know, with Protoss, you need to keep those Colossi alive, and just one wrong placement, unfortunately, can cost you, and it's such a heavy investment in Colossus, you don't want to be throwing them away. I do feel that's what threw away Game 2. Had it been differently and he brought it to 1-1, we could have seen a great third game. Unfortunately, this was not the case, and Marine King obviously took the 2-0 victory. As for the other groups, briefly what I'll explain is I'll pick out the games that stood out to me that I watched on the streams and read about. So in Group B, my pick was Domregu versus Naniwa, purely because it felt like Domregu was in another league. He was on form for that game. Not to take anything away from Naniwa, Naniwa played convincingly and solidly, but he always just seemed like a step behind, unfortunately. The thing that I pointed out was in Game 2, I think what cost him when Naniwa was building up his forces and they were going for that push. He was so unfortunate in the last few minutes of the game. He was caught out with a few banelings, which basically obliterated what army he had left, and unfortunately that did cost him the game. Naniwa later went on to beat the Muslim 2-0. Um, Unfortunately, I was rooting for the Muslim. He didn't have the best days, which is unfortunate. Um, but he hopefully will come back day two, and hopefully he will get back on form. And for those of you who might have seen it, is that picture that's going around on Twitter and Reddit of poor old Muslim with his hands in his head, and he just looks defeated. And when I woke up and looked at this morning, it made me realise that these people take this seriously. It's not just a hobby. Uh, this is their career. This is what they lead up to, essentially, is these big tournaments and championships. Um, and losing a game, and maybe losing that game where he felt he should have won, or at least had a better chance. I guess, I mean, if it was me, I'd feel downhearted. You know, you've worked for these for months. You know you can play better, I guess, is the thing. Especially, like, there's nothing worse when you lose that game, where you're like, oh, if I'd have done this, I'd have been better, and I should have won this, or I could have won it. But like I say, hopefully day two he'll come back fighting, and hopefully we'll see good things from him. My pick of, well, it wasn't so much a pick of my game of Group C, it was my player, Hook. He has been playing absolutely incredible, um, basically winning all of his games so far in his series. And the game that did stand out to me was in when he was playing Violet, and despite only being on 2 bases to his 4, he just couldn't get that 3rd base set up, unfortunately. However, this didn't stop him. He thought, sat back, he built up his army, and the sheer force of what he could produce on the 2 base, which he was kind of forced into playing from Violet whilst he expanded upon the back of this on 4 base. So technically the Zerg had the economical advantage and technological advantage, I guess, in some ways it's saying, but the sheer force and the great play of Hook, he pulled it through in the end. He's definitely one that we should look out for. I think we'll get far in this tournament from Group C. And then there was Group D. And I know yesterday I was saying I was hoping for Grubby. Unfortunately, he was just outclassed, I think, unfortunately. The Korean players, and especially 2 Protoss Korean players as well, it was just unfortunate for him. He was always a step behind, but this was one of the closest fought groups. Despite that, as all the other group leaders from pools A, B, and C, they all took 3-0 series wins. However, in Group D, they were all 2-1, apart from Grubby, who unfortunately didn't manage to just get that series he needed. What I do feel is Grubby will drop into the loser bracket. I do feel he'll be able to work up through that, though, however, and then possibly make a force later on in the tournament. I do feel he can do that. And for those of you who don't know, just quite know how the structure of MLG, the championship for this tournament, it works, is you've got the top 16 and they're based into 4 pools, 4 players. Then we have the open bracket, and the players who are in the open bracket play through their games. The top 8 winners in the open bracket are then seeded into the top 16 pool play. So the pool of 4 then becomes a pool of 6. This is obviously interesting because some of the people in the open bracket can then play these top 16 players. The loser top 8 from the open bracket automatically get seeded into the loser bracket of the actual championship, so then they can make it up through there. So there's every opportunity for the people in the open bracket to make a show of force. And I think the way it is how it works is good. I mean, we could talk about the extended series rule, but that's probably something I'll talk about in a future video. And then we had, I didn't quite catch it, but we did have, from that open bracket, we did have the stream of Polt versus Stefano. I did mention yesterday that Stefano should show, make a good impression in that first day. Unfortunately, he did lose to Polt 2-1. However, Polt is probably one of the best Terrans out there at the moment, so that's not to take any credit away from Stefano there. However, this morning I did watch on stream B, we did watch Liquid Chef take Polt 2-0. Liquid Chef playing convincingly and didn't look like he was in any danger at any point during the series. We had in game 2, which was most notable, was the drops into his base. Zergling drops from the Overlords. I think this just gave him the edge in game 2 because it not only took out the economical of Polt, but it did also take out his technological buildings and production buildings, most importantly. So he was always just 10 or 20 supply behind. So Liquid Chef, again, in the open bracket, could make a force moving up either into the winning bracket, or if he's in the top 8, of the loser bracket, he will make his way through the loser bracket that way. And I do think he's another guy who we should be watching. So that was basically day 1 of MLG. So in other news, obviously day 2 is starting now. It should be streaming now. I'm going to catch up on a few of the streams after this video. But my plan is what I'll probably do is a review, probably next week, of MLG as a whole, obviously with results and how the semi-finals, quarterfinals, loser bracket, all those. I'll probably put in a video later next week. And also the other thing I was going to ask you guys is, do you want to see just StarCraft news, or would you be interested in maybe me branching out into other areas of maybe the competitive gaming scene? Or maybe there's a few games like, hey, I want to see a review on Game X or Game Y, or your thoughts on this. If you do think that, please do feel free to contact me. I do have my email and Twitter just below me here. We've got my email, which is zensc2@live.co.uk, or you can follow me on Twitter, which is @zen_sc2. So like I say, if you have any comments, suggestions, please do feel free to contact me in those forms. My other plan for this weekend will be to do a video about me and StarCraft, essentially what got me into StarCraft, what I've done in StarCraft, like what races I play, how I feel the game is at the moment, where it's at in terms of the competitive scene, and what the future holds for it, and what the future holds for me in StarCraft. Again, like, if you want to have any input in that, please do feel free to contact me in the various media forms below. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys have been enjoying Columbus if you've been watching it. If not, I'll put a description and a link in the description rather, along with all the contact details. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to my friend Zach. If I press the right button there, he has given me some nice graphic visuals, as you can see, just to give my videos a bit more of that professional edge. And obviously, as time progresses, I will eventually get very, very nice overlays, as you can see, and just the higher production value for you guys, so you can enjoy watching the videos more. If you have enjoyed today's, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be putting out regular content, hopefully. Tell your friends, tell your pets, tell your family, tell whoever, share it on Facebook, share it whatever. Thanks for everyone who's viewed so far in the first 24 hours on my first few videos. I exceeded what I initially thought. I mean, it's not massive numbers, it's like just shy of 100, but I didn't expect that many people to be watching. So thank you very much, guys. Keep supporting me, and I shall see you again next time.